Picture a small, tidy apartment in Tokyo. No closet overflowing with things half-used, no drawer of gadgets bought once and forgotten, no garage of maybe someday purchases quietly gathering dust. Just a home with exactly what's needed, nothing more, and somehow it doesn't feel empty. It feels calm. If you're over 40, you've probably noticed the slow accumulation, the kitchen tool you bought for one recipe, the clothes that never quite fit right but felt like a bargain, the subscription you forgot you were paying for. It's not that you're careless with money, it's that most of what gets sold to us is designed to be bought on impulse, not lived with for years. Here's the myth bust. You'd think avoiding waste means being stricter with yourself, more willpower at checkout, more guilt over spending. But watch what Japanese households simply never buy in the first place, and you'll notice something freeing about it. It's not about restriction, it's about a handful of categories they've quietly opted out of altogether, so the decision never even has to be made twice. Researchers studying consumer behavior have found that most regretted purchases fall into a small, predictable set of categories, the same handful of traps over and over across almost everyone. Which means avoiding waste was never about being more disciplined in the moment. It's about recognizing the categories themselves once and simply closing the door on them for good. So today, I want to walk you through 8 things Japanese people rarely buy at all, and by the end, you'll understand why so many of their homes and their finances feel so much lighter than ours. The first thing is decorative clutter. Ornaments, knickknacks, seasonal decor bought purely because it was cute in the moment, with no real function or lasting meaning attached. A Japanese home tends to display very little at all, and what is displayed is usually chosen deliberately, often kept for years rather than rotated with trends. In the West, decorative items are often bought impulsively, inexpensively, and in volume, filling shelves that quietly become dusting obligations rather than sources of enjoyment. Researchers studying home environments have found that visual clutter measurably increases stress and mental fatigue, even when a person isn't consciously registering it, which means every unnecessary object on display isn't just taking up space, it's quietly costing attention every time the eye passes over it. The second thing is trendy disposable clothing. Items bought because they're currently in style, cheaply made, and expected to be discarded within a season or two. Japanese consumer habits tend to favor fewer, higher quality pieces, chosen for how long they'll last rather than how current they look this month. In the West, fast fashion has made trend chasing the default, with entire wardrobes turning over year after year. Danshari, the same decluttering philosophy that shapes Japanese homes, applies just as much to shopping itself, and economists studying cost per wear have found that a single well-made garment worn for years is almost always cheaper in the long run than the string of cheap replacements it would have taken to match its lifespan. The third thing is single-use kitchen gadgets, tools designed to do exactly one narrow task: an avocado slicer, a specific shaped waffle maker, purchased for a passing interest and used only a handful of times before being pushed to the back of a drawer. Japanese kitchens tend to favor a small set of versatile tools that do many things reasonably well, rather than many tools that each do one thing perfectly. In the West, kitchen gadgets are marketed constantly, each one solving a problem most people didn't actually have until the product suggested it. And the pattern repeats endlessly. A new gadget promises to save time, gets used 3 times, then quietly becomes clutter that has to be stored, cleaned around, and eventually discarded anyway. The fourth thing is extended warranties and insurance add-ons on small purchases. the extra coverage offered at checkout on appliances, electronics and gadgets, priced just high enough to feel like protection and just low enough to feel worth it in the moment. Japanese consumers tend to skip these almost automatically, trusting that a well-made item either lasts or it doesn't, without paying extra for the anxiety of what if. In the West, these add-ons are pitched so routinely at checkout that saying yes has become the path of least resistance. Financial researchers studying insurance economics have found that the vast majority of extended warranties are never actually used before they expire, which means the money spent on them is, more often than not, simply gone, protecting against a failure that was already unlikely to happen in the first place. The fifth thing is oversized furniture bought for a someday bigger space. A sectional sofa, a large dining set, purchased for a home you don't have yet, filling the one you're actually living in far past what it comfortably needs. Japanese living spaces, often smaller by necessity, have shaped a habit of buying furniture that fits the space you have now, not the one you imagine having later. In the West, furniture is frequently bought aspirationally, sized for a future that may or may not ever arrive. And the cost isn't just financial. Oversized furniture in a smaller space quietly limits movement, storage, and the sense of openness a room could otherwise have every single day it sits there waiting for a someday that hasn't come yet. The sixth thing is beauty and wellness products promising dramatic fast results. The Miracle Cream, the Rapid Fix supplement, priced at a premium specifically because of the urgency in its promise. Japanese beauty habits, as we've talked about before, lean toward slow, consistent, unglamorous routines, rather than any single product expected to transform something overnight. In the West, marketing leans hard into urgency and drama because gradual and modest doesn't sell nearly as well as dramatic and fast. And the pattern repeats predictably. The miracle product underdelivers, gets replaced by the next one making the same promise, and the cycle continues, spending steadily accumulating while the results stay just as gradual as they would have been with something far cheaper and far more honest all along. The seventh thing is single-purpose exercise equipment bought for home use, a treadmill, a rowing machine, and elliptical, purchased with genuine intention after a burst of motivation, then used consistently for a few weeks before becoming an expensive place to hang laundry. Japanese exercise habits, as we've talked about before, tend to lean toward movement already woven into daily life, walking, stairs, stretching, rather than equipment requiring a dedicated space and a standing commitment to use it. In the West, home gym equipment is one of the most reliably regretted purchase categories there is, bought on motivation that predictably fades within a season. Researchers studying exercise adherence have found that home equipment usage drops off sharply after the first few weeks for the vast majority of buyers, which means the money spent wasn't really buying fitness at all. It was buying a brief feeling of intention at a price that lingers in the room long after the motivation itself is gone. And the eighth thing, saved for last because it's the one people resist admitting they buy at all, is anything purchased specifically to keep up with someone else. The item bought not because it was needed or even truly wanted, but because a neighbor, a friend, or a stranger online already had it. Japanese consumer culture, shaped in part by a strong social emphasis on modesty and restraint, tends to treat visible consumption with quiet discomfort rather than admiration. In the West, so much spending is shaped by comparison we barely register: a renovated kitchen, a new car, a curated feed, and that quiet comparison is often the real engine behind purchases that never seem to add up to lasting satisfaction.
Once that comparison quiets down, so almost automatically does the buying it was fueling, because the thing was never really about the item at all. It was about being seen to have it.
So there it is. 8 things Japanese households simply opt out of buying at all, and none of it comes from restriction. Decorative clutter gets skipped, so shelves never turn into dusting obligations. Trendy, disposable clothing gets replaced by fewer, longer-lasting pieces. Single-use kitchen gadgets stay out of the drawer entirely in favor of a small set of tools that do many things well. Extended warranties get declined automatically since most of them are never used before they expire anyway. Oversized furniture gets sized for the space actually lived in, not the one imagined someday. Miracle beauty products get skipped in favor of slow, unglamorous routines that were honest from the start. Home exercise equipment stays unbought since the movement it promised was already available for free, woven into an ordinary day, and anything bought just to keep pace with someone else quietly loses its pull the moment the comparison behind it goes quiet. None of this means never buying anything new, and it isn't about judging every purchase harshly from now on. That's not the point, and it never was. This isn't a promise that 8 categories crossed off a list transform your finances overnight, but if you felt like money slips away without a clear reason why, it might not be a spending problem at all. It might be that a few predictable categories have quietly been doing most of the damage unnoticed for years. So next time you're about to buy something, try just one pause. Ask if it's solving a real problem or just a passing feeling. Ask if you'd still want it a month from now. That's enough to start. Because spending less was never really about willpower at the register, it was about quietly closing the door on a few categories for good, so the decision never had to be made twice. If this gave you something worth trying, there's more like it here, so stick around. I'll see you in the next one.